Hey, how's it going? Today we're talking about something that might not be the most fun thing to think about, but it's super important, especially in times like these when budgets are tight and unexpected expenses pop up. So, how long can you go without paying your credit card bill before things start to get really messy? If you've ever wondered about that, or if you're finding yourself in a tough spot right now, you're definitely not alone. Right now, a lot of people are feeling the pinch. Between the rising cost of living, high rents, and grocery bills that just keep going up, it's easy to see why making a payment on time might slip through the cracks. But here's something that not everyone knows. Missing a payment doesn't automatically mean financial disaster, at least not right away. In fact, there's usually a grace period built into most credit card agreements, and knowing how long you can wait and what happens if you miss that window can make a huge difference in how you handle your finances. So today, I'm going to break down exactly what happens if you're late on a payment, the different stages of late payments, and what you can do to avoid long-term damage to your credit. Stick around, because even if you're just a few days late, understanding what comes next could help you stay in control. Alright, let's start with the very beginning. The due date. This is the point where your credit card company expects you to pay at least the minimum amount due. But let's be real, life happens. Maybe you had an unexpected car repair or an emergency, and that credit card bill just didn't get paid. So what now? Well, if you're only a day or two late, don't panic. Many card issuers actually have a short grace period before they start charging you a late fee. Some might give you a few days, but this is where things start to vary depending on your credit card company. If you miss that grace period, you're likely to be hit with a late fee. Typically, it's around $25 to $35, which doesn't sound like much, but it can add up if you're already struggling. So then, let's say you've gone 30 days without paying. Now, this is where things start to get more serious. At this point, not only will you get charged that late fee, but your credit card issuer might also report the late payment to the credit bureaus. And this is where your credit score can take a hit. Even missing one payment can knock your score down by a significant number of points, depending on your credit history. For some people, we're talking about 50 to 100 points, just from one late payment. And here's the kicker. Even if you catch up and pay your bill after that, that late payment could stay on your credit report for up to 7 years. 7 years. So, it's not just about the immediate impact. This is something that could follow you around for a long time. But don't worry, there are ways to manage this if you act quickly, and I'll get into that in just a bit. Now, let's talk about what happens if you're 60 days late. This is when things get a little more uncomfortable. If you're 2 billing cycles behind, your credit card issuer might raise your interest rate to what's called a penalty APR. And this rate can be pretty steep, often close to 30%. So, not only are you dealing with late fees and a ding to your credit score, but now you're paying way more in interest on any unpaid balance. And remember, that higher interest rate could apply to any new purchases you make as well, so it's something to watch out for. Okay, now here's where it starts to get even more serious. If you've gone 90 days without paying, your account could be classified as seriously delinquent. At this point, your credit card company might even close your account. And if that happens, they might send your debt to collections, which is definitely something you want to avoid if possible. When your debt goes to collections, it doesn't just hurt your credit score. It can also lead to calls and letters from debt collectors, which is stressful on its own. So, what can you do if you know you're going to be late, or if you're already behind on payments? Well, the first thing you should do is call your credit card company. I know, it might feel awkward or even a little intimidating, but trust me, it's always better to get ahead of the problem. A lot of companies are actually willing to work with you if you explain your situation. Sometimes, they'll waive a late fee, extend your due date, or even offer you a temporary payment plan. But they can't help if you don't reach out. Another option to consider, especially if you're carrying a high balance, is looking into a balance transfer. Some credit cards offer 0% interest on balance transfers for a certain period, usually around 12 to 18 months. This could give you some breathing room to pay down your debt without piling on interest. Just be careful about the terms, because once that 0% period ends, the regular interest rates can kick in. And if you're dealing with a longer-term financial challenge, you might want to explore something like a debt management plan. This involves working with a credit counselor to negotiate lower interest rates and fees, which can make your payments more manageable. It's not a quick fix, but for some people, it can be a lifeline. Now, if things have gotten really tough, there's always bankruptcy as a last resort. This isn't something to take lightly, though. Bankruptcy can wipe out your credit card debt, but it comes with serious long-term consequences for your credit. If you're thinking about this option, it's definitely worth talking to a financial advisor or attorney first to make sure it's the right choice for your situation. So then, what's the takeaway here? Well, paying your credit card bill late isn't the end of the world, but the longer you wait, the harder it gets to dig yourself out. The key is to stay proactive, even if things feel overwhelming. And remember, you don't have to go through it alone. There are resources and people who can help. Thanks for sticking with me today. If you found this helpful, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, or let me know if you've been in a similar situation before. I'd love to hear how you've handled it. And remember, staying informed and taking action early can make all the difference when it comes to managing your finances.